Ask 5 YouTubers for the best cloud storage in 2026, and you'll get probably 5 different answers. I've tested nearly every service out there on the same files, the same connection, and also the same devices. And I narrowed it down to 5 of them. And one of them uploaded more than 3 times faster than another. And here's the ranking no one else will give you straight. Before I get into the list, quick word on the testing. I've been running the same 5 GB folder through these services on the same connection across 2025 and 2026. It is what everybody would use, like a mix of documents, photos, and also videos. And I'm looking at speed, features, pricing, and the daily use feel, if you will. I line up all 5 speed results side by side at the end of the video so you can see exactly how big the gaps are. And if speed is important to you, you don't want to miss this one. And yes, probably you'll ask, oh, what about Google Drive? What about OneDrive, Dropbox, or what about iCloud? I can already read all these comments, right? Yes, these services, they hold your encryption keys. They do scan your files. They use your files to train their AI system, and they lock you into their ecosystem, right? It's probably fine for casual use, but if you were paying real money in 2026, these 5 that I show you here in this video are the ones worth it in my opinion. And I'll rank all 5 and tell you who each one is for. We also have another video about comparing all the big ones, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, and I'll leave you the link right here and in the description box below so you can check this out if you're only looking for these services. But also in this video, I'll line up the speed and pricing side by side at the end and name the single service I'd pick if personally I could only keep one. So if you hold a gun on my head and said, Mauricio, pick one service, I'll give you that one. So there's also one quick note. If you want a free option, so you're exclusively looking for free cloud storage, I made a separate video on that. In fact, I made several videos on this, but I leave you the most recent one also up here and down in the description box below. So this video is for people who are ready to graduate, who are ready to pay for the cloud storage services that I'm going to recommend in this video. As usual here on the channel, we'll start with the number 5 pick, which is IceDrive. And this one is the one I'd recommend if you live on your phone and you want a cloud drive that feels like a regular Windows folder. And here's why. Now, the standout feature that I mentioned before, is the virtual drive. And let me show you exactly what that means. If you open the File Explorer, right, and your cloud storage, it just shows up like here, like any other cloud drive letter. And this is actually beautiful. You can drag files in, like without them eating up any of your hard disk. And you can keep all your archives in there if you want to just free up some space. Now, the mobile app is actually one of the strongest, I would say, of the 5. You get all what you need, like background photo backup. You can download your files offline. You can pin them here so you have always a quick access. And also a passcode lock on the app itself. Now, if I'm being honest, the sharing toolkit is solid too. There are some limitations. You have, for example, file requests, and you have really good permissions control. IceDrive also is UK-based and encrypts your files with 2FISH rather than AES encryption. And that's a small detail, and it really doesn't change how you actually use the service. But for those of you who know a little bit about encryption, I just wanted to mention it here. There is a catch, right? IceDrive, unfortunately, is also the slowest of the 5 in my testing. And it took almost twice the expected time for both uploads and downloads, as you can see from the numbers right here on screen. And you'll see exactly how far behind when I do a full speed comparison and line the numbers up at the end. And on pricing, well, it's actually the second cheapest of the group. So 2 terabytes starts at around $29 a year, which is a fraction of what Sync or pCloud charge for comparable storage. Now, here's the verdict for IceDrive. If you want a cloud drive that feels like a Windows folder and you mostly work from your phone, I think IceDrive earns this spot. Now, and if speed matters to you, probably you should keep watching this video. Now, moving on to number 4, we got Internext. And this is the pick if you are on a tight budget and privacy is essentially non-negotiable. The reason comes down to essentially 3 features. First, we got the end-to-end encryption. That's almost a must these days in cloud storage services. And that is on by default at every plan tier. So you are not paying extra for this, and this is very much appreciated. Second, Internext is also based in Spain and therefore covered by GDPR. It's very important for those of us who are in Europe and who must adhere to GDPR regulations. Now, third, Internext is the only service here using Kyber 512 post-quantum key encapsulation, now that's a mouthful, on top of their standard encryption. Now, what does that mean? Now, that matters because criminals are already collecting encrypted data today so they can decrypt it later once quantum hardware exists. And I've made an interview with the Internext founder that you can also find here at the top and down in the description box below if you want to dig a little deeper into what Internext is and what quantum decryption also means for us in the future. Now, here comes the honest part. Every time I've tested Internext, I've hit some UI issues, right? Parts of the interface, they just stop responding. I get like errors during normal file operations. Also, file sharing is a little bit thin. So we don't have these file request features that I showed you on IceDrive before. And the permissions that you can give to other people when sharing a file is pretty limited. And collaboration is basically missing at all. So there is no Word document that you can simultaneously edit with multiple teammates. Maybe that's coming in future, but it's not there yet. So if we talk about speeds, they are decent, as you can see here on screen. I wouldn't call it fast exactly, but yeah, it is acceptable. And now looking at the pricing side of things, Internet has the lowest entry price of the 5. So there's the 1 terabyte plan that starts around $19 a year. It's easily the cheapest way into real encrypted cloud storage. So if you're on a budget, that's probably the one I would go. But I mean, who is Internext really for? So if your budget, as I said, is really tight and you don't want to compromise on security, I think Internext is a pretty good fit. But if you need to share with clients or if you need to collaborate with a team, it's not there yet. However, I mean, you can combine cloud storage services. So you could say, okay, I use Internext for my most sensitive files, right? And then maybe I use Google Docs for like the collaborative document experience that I need in my company, right? If it's not a super sensitive file, up to you. And by the way, if you find this overview helpful and useful so far, please drop a like down below and also subscribe if you aren't already. I know you've heard it a million times on YouTube, but it really helps us making videos like this and continue publishing high quality cloud storage videos. So like and subscribe. Next up is my third choice, which in this case is Sync.com. And this is the clear pick for small teams and anyone working in a regulated field. And here's what earns that. Sync.com has zero-knowledge encryption across every plan. So you don't have to pay for an add-on, you don't have to upgrade. There's no constant reminder to, oh, you are unsecure if you don't pay for Sync.com. No, that's not how Sync.com works. Sync.com is also headquartered in Canada, and it is HIPAA and PIPEDA compliant. So that matters if you are in healthcare or if you're working with Canadian client data, right? It also can't hurt if you are in Europe and everything is well protected, and Canada is considered like a safe haven, at least compared to the US, when it comes to data protection. So the real draw here is actually the collaboration suite. You get Office 365 integration with the ability to edit documents directly. You have good permission control. You get file requests, you get version history, and you get a 180-day window on deleted files. So that's also very useful. Now we gotta look at speed, obviously, and speed sits on the slower end of the 5. It's not quite as slow as IceDrive, but it's pretty close, right? Now, in terms of price, Sync.com lands pretty much in the middle of the pack. The solo plan is around $186 a year for 5 terabytes, which is pretty strong on a per dollar basis, per terabyte basis on paper. And if you run a small team, especially in healthcare or anything regulated, sync.com is pretty much the answer to that. The features and the compliance are worth the slower speeds in my opinion. For like solo users moving personal files, there are faster options below that we're gonna look at in a bit. Now, one thing before we move on, services in this space, I mean, they change a lot, right? Proton Drive went from nearly unusable a few years ago to the runner-up in this review. IceDrive quietly regressed from being like one of the top services to now middle of the pack. So rankings shift year to year, especially when it comes to speed. If you want to know when they do and how the industry updates, you want to subscribe to our Cloudwards newsletter that I'll leave you down below in the description. Okay, now time for the runner-up, which I've already teased it, is Proton Drive. And this is the pick if you want essentially the cleanest experience of the 5, or if you're already like inside the Proton ecosystem. And here are the features that earn that framing. Proton Drive is based in Switzerland, and it now includes in-app document editing, spreadsheets, real-time collaboration, and also version control. The mobile app holds its own with the best here. You can get photo backup, which is super great. There's also a data saver mode. There is live photo support, offline access, and biometric security. So even better, end-to-end encryption is on by default, regardless of the plan. And across my testing, I really hit 0 UI issues and 0 errors when navigating the software. It was super easy to use, super easy to get started, and would even make my grandma happy. In terms of speed, Proton Drive lands in second place, and let me tell you, it's closer to first place than you'd think. On the pricing side of things, the standalone plan is pretty fair. You've got 200 gigabytes, which starts at around $36 a year. That's smaller base storage than the others, but Proton Unlimited bundle adds mail and VPN and also ups the storage to 500 gigabytes. And it's a pretty good deal. So that's where it starts to really pull ahead on value, in my opinion. If you are already paying for Proton Mail or Proton VPN, Drive is essentially a no-brainer. I mean, you're already in this ecosystem and it just makes sense to also integrate Proton Drive into the mix. The only real drawback is that it caps out at 500 gigabytes of storage. But if that's all you need, I mean, Proton Drive is the cleanest experience of the 5, and in my opinion, delivers an impressive set of features without compromising on security. And finally, drum roll, we get to my number 1 pick, the one that you've been waiting for, and that is pCloud. Now, this is the pick I would recommend for most people, and it's the service with the widest feature set of the 5. So we also got the virtual drive, which mounts basically your cloud storage as a local drive, just like IceDrives. But pCloud can also sync any folder you tell it to the cloud. That means you don't have to reorganize your entire file library to live inside a single sync folder, which then lets you sync any folder on your computer without reorganizing your life around one like Dropbox directory. Another feature that I like about pCloud is there's also something called block level sync. So only the changed parts of a file re-upload instead of the whole thing. On top of that, you get bandwidth throttling, which is nice if you live on a small bandwidth or you're doing frequent backups with another software. So you can really say how much bandwidth pCloud is allowed to take. There is something called automatic continuous backup, which is nice. Web dev, and there's also a deep sharing toolkit. So you have all sorts of sharing permissions and granularity, password control, you name it, right? But the coolest features, or one of the coolest features I like, which I use constantly as a video creator, as a YouTuber, and probably also people with a large video collection might appreciate that a lot, that's the video player. And let me show you exactly how this works, right? Oh, one caveat, right? Client-side encryption is a paid add-on called pCloud Crypto. It's not default, unfortunately. That's the only caveat, the only con, I would say, that encapsulates the whole pCloud suite. So if this paid add-on is a deal breaker, then you've got to look at Proton Drive or Internext, which is a good pick as well, as you've seen in this video. Now, okay, here I've got a video file sitting in pCloud. Now I click play, and you can see it streams directly, right from the cloud. So far, pretty normal, nothing fancy. I mean, a lot of cloud storage services can stream videos directly, but check this out. If I click this button up here, I can enable automatic captions, even for files that don't have them in their metadata. That's pretty cool. Even cooler is the translation feature. Now, if I set this to say French, I suddenly have French captions right here on the video. All right, moving on to performance. Speed puts pCloud first. Now, it's the fastest, really the fastest service I tested. I mean, just look at that download speed. I mean, that's basically as good as it gets. On the pricing side of things, the 2 terabyte annual runs around $100 a year, which is competitive with the rest of the field, but the lifetime plan is the one that changes the conversation for me. Now, you make one payment and essentially you're done. No subscription fees ever again. We've done videos on lifetime cloud storage here on the channel, so you want to check that out. There are obviously some caveats with lifetime cloud storage, which I'm not going to discuss in this video, but suffice it to say, pCloud has one of the best lifetime cloud storage deals around. And also you find all the links in the description box below for the best deals on pCloud. Now, you also want to stick around for the price comparison at the end, where I can really show you what this means in practice. So here is my verdict. pCloud is the one I tell almost anyone to buy. My family, my friends, you guys here on the channel. I think it's really a one-size-fits-all solution for most people. And obviously the lifetime plan changes the math completely. All right, earlier I said one service uploaded more than 3 times faster than another. And here is what that actually looks like using the same test setup. Now, on the throttle connection, pCloud finished the upload in 7 minutes and 6 seconds. And that throttle's capped at 100 megabits. This is my standard throttled setup. Proton Drive came in right behind at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. And then Internext took 8 minutes and 1 second. Sync.com needed 9 minutes and 47 seconds, and IceDrive crawled across the finish line at 12 minutes and 12 seconds. On downloads, pCloud pulled the folder back in 6 minutes and 52 seconds. That's really, really good. Sync.com needed close to 12 minutes. And then I took the throttle off and ran it on a full-on gigabit connection. And this is where the gap really opens up. pCloud finished in 2 minutes and 6 seconds flat. Boom! Incredible speeds, and I love that, especially if you deal with large files, with video files, highly appreciated. Proton Drive came in at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and Internext barely moved. It's like 7 minutes and 48 seconds. Sync.com clocked 9 minutes and 36. IceDrive 11 minutes and 50. Well, here is the takeaway. pCloud and Proton Drive are in a completely different tier. I give them a faster connection and they actually use it. It makes sense to have fast internet, right? Internext, Sync.com, and IceDrive are noticeably behind, and Internext and Sync barely get any faster when you remove the throttle. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, as usual, it depends. So if you've got a really fast connection, like me, I mean, you'll notice that Sync and IceDrive aren't taking full advantage of your bandwidth, right? And that's a shame. But if you're on a slower connection, you won't notice, I would say, too much of a difference with these services. For the pricing comparison I promised you earlier, I'll start with the annual plans first across the board, then look at the lifetime options. Now, Internext is, as you can see, the cheapest entry point. The 1 terabyte annual plan runs around $19 a year on the current promo, and the 3 terabyte tier is about $39, so that's genuinely hard to beat, and that's why Internext is essentially the top budget pick, if you will. IceDrive sits just above that, so we got 2 terabytes that run around $29 a year, and 4 terabytes around $49. It's pretty cheap, but I mean, as I said before, you're paying an upload speed. Proton Drive standalone plan, 200 gigabytes, is about $2.99 a month on the annual, which works out to roughly $36 a year. It's pretty expensive for just storage, I would say, but the bundle with, Proton Mail and Proton VPN is much better value. $10 a month for like 500 gigabytes of storage and access to the entire Proton ecosystem. Yeah, pretty good deal. Sync's 5 terabyte plan runs around $186 a year on the current promo. It's the most expensive annual of the 5. Now, Sync.com is also the only provider who offers unlimited cloud storage, but it's a team upgrade and obviously costs more. As usual, here on the channel, there is time for a little caveat. Cloud storage providers generally start at a lower price for the first year. For example, Internext jumps to $149 a year for 1 terabyte and $299 for 3. Sync.com's promo renews at $336 a year, and Proton Drive's first year rate steps up to around $48 on renewal. But that's where lifetime plans come in. I already alluded to this in this video. And first, we got Internext. So 1 terabyte is $260. So 3 terabytes is $390, and 5 terabytes is $520. One payment, lifetime, no renewal. So you never have to worry about your cloud storage suddenly increasing its price. If you take into account the renewal rates, the lifetime plan pays for itself in less than 3 years. That's actually pretty good. And finally, pCloud's annual price runs about $50 for 500 gigabytes and around $100 for 2 terabytes. But here is the better deal. pCloud sells a 2 terabyte lifetime plan for $399. Like with Internext, it's one payment and you own the storage forever. Well, technically pCloud owns the storage, but I mean, you get the idea. Against the annual plan that pays for itself in roughly 4 years, and every year after, basically, you got free storage. Now, speaking of prices, I've tracked down the best current deals on every provider in this video, including lifetime deals, and you can find all the links in the description box below, and I keep them updated. So you're always getting the best price available, no matter if it's Black Friday or some other day. The links are always updated, and you get the best deal. Okay, now it's really time to wrap this up because the video is already quite long. Let's put all the pieces together. So here's each of these. Who is actually these 5 for, right? The thing that, for me, jumps out when you see these side by side is clearly the speed. pCloud and Proton Drive are essentially in their own tier, and the gap to the other 3 is bigger than the pricing would have ever suggested, right? The other standout is obviously the lifetime plans. pCloud and Internext are the only 2 offering it, and if you care about reliability, Proton Drive is the only service on this list with 0 errors on crashes. Now, the caveat to the lifetime plans is obviously it's not your lifetime, it's the lifetime of the provider. But for example, pCloud has been in the market for, I think, almost 15 years now, which is a pretty good track record. And I've been using them for probably 10 or so, or even longer. And they've only improved their service so far. So here's how it shakes out for each person. Let's look at photographers and content creators, right? If you have to move like large libraries, I think pCloud is the way to go. I have now probably 10 terabyte of video footage on pCloud, and it's never let me down. The speed, and obviously that I said before, the lifetime math, they really save you money over a decade. Now, if you are a small team, or if you're working like in sensitive industries like healthcare, law, a regulated field overall, I think you should probably look at Sync.com. So it's super, super, super compliant with all the necessary rules. It has a little bit of collaboration in it. It's obviously slower on the uploads, but that's something that you just have to accept, I guess, if you want this compliance and security. Are you on a tight budget? Well, then I think it's got to be Internext. It's just the cheapest out there. And if you also need mail or a VPN client, or you're just chasing like the cleanest mobile app or the cleanest app overall, then I think you should probably go with Proton Drive. And for mobile-first users who want a essentially Windows-style virtual drive, IceDrive is still a pretty good pick. If you only remember one thing from this video, right? For most people, it's going to be pCloud. And for everyone else, pick the one on the list that matches you and that matches your needs, right? And there you have it. That's my cloud storage ranking for 2026. pCloud wins overall, Proton Drive is the runner-up, and the real story of this year, a service that used to be nearly unusable is now the second fastest and most reliable of the 5. Before you go, I want to know where you're leaning. Drop a comment telling me which of these 5 you think sounds the best, or if you've used any of these services before. I'd love to hear your experiences. And if this video helped you make a decision, hit that like and subscribe button. It's how we keep making these videos. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.